Welcome to Soft Bites Podcast. Your life, your dentistry. We talk about ways to have more fun and meaning in one of the coolest and most rewarding professions in medicine. Conversations on how to bring awareness, create a healthy workplace, and provide emotional insights to make dentistry a fulfilling activity while making space for one's wonder, creativity, and freedom. Here are your hosts, Manuela and George Andre.
Welcome. Either you are joining us live along the recording or listening this afterwards. Welcome to another episode of the Soft Bites podcast. Hello, Andre.
Hello
again. The first time that we are trying this. So, but
I'm seeing myself on
freestyle.
Yeah, and it is with a bit of a delay.
Yeah, it's always with the delay. But okay, I'm happy because I have a good connection. It says here on YouTube because I'm controlling things here on YouTube, and it's going well.
Cool.
So, Andre, how are you?
I am fine. Thank you. Very nice. All right. Do you see the amount of people that are here?
Yeah, I have the control. Yeah. We have 2 persons.
No one joined us still, right?
So we have 2 persons joining us. I don't know if one of those visitors is you. I disconnected mine.
Okay, I think one is mine.
So, yeah, we have to.
All right, let's wait a couple of minutes and then we'll start. So how are you? Where are you now?
I'm in Belgium. A little bit an improvised scenario here. I'm in a hotel in Antwerp. And it's freezing cold here. I had a good day. Looking forward for this because it's the first time that we are doing this live streaming. But
all right, I think that we should start.
Yeah, and we started into 10 o'clock. 10 with a few minutes more. It's 1 hour more than in Portugal.
Oh, really?
Okay, we have more people with us now. I have already 5. You can see also.
I can.
There's 5 people.
All right. Like I thought that because I cannot see anyone from here. So hi guys, how are you?
If you want to join us, to talk to us, just there's a message chat over there, and I will control that. So just feel free to join us and to make your comments. I mean that's one of the reasons why we had this idea, right? To do this in a more interactive way. And the subject that we chose to speak today, it's actually one of the reasons I think that it's behind our conscience leadership course, because we believe that and we consider that building and creating a good team is very difficult in dentistry. And because sometimes we are so focused in the technical treatments, sometimes creating a good team is a bit neglected. And of course, when we make this question, and today we are going to talk a little bit about what is the theme that we chose is what is more important in a dental practice, the patients or the team. And of course, they are both important. But what we try to bring to this discussion is also this fact that in the dentistry it's hard to build and create a good team, and sometimes the focus is only on the technical treatments and on the patients, and we forgot the importance of building a good team. And that is one of the focus of our conscious leadership course, and that's one of the things that we try to help dentists to do to create a team that it's well bonded together, that grows together, that work all for the same purpose. And we make this question during our course. We actually make these questions to our participants, what they consider to be more important in a dental clinic, the patients or the team. So we invite you to answer to these questions together with us, and leave your comments and tell us what you think. What is more important in a dental clinic, the patients or the team? André, what do you think?
How are you? First of all, thank you all for coming to see this live episode. It's been a pleasure. This is the first live one, and I probably think that we will do some more in the future, either through here or through Instagram. Let's see. It's been a joy. How many years are these? 2-3 years?
2 years. 2 years.
Yeah?
2 years.
It's been a joy to record this. This is something that we do just for the sake of it, just for fun of it, essentially for fun of it, for fun of recording it, because Softbites, I think it has made me a better team member and a leader, let's say. So I think that by talking out loud, I think that you reflect on things, and you eventually become more aware of the situations, and you will eventually become a better team member. So this is a difficult question, right? And I think that we had a podcast where we discussed that. So I think that the virtue is always in the middle, isn't it? I mean, the right answer for almost every question is that it depends, and there needs to be a balance, right? So if I had to choose between what is more important, the staff or the patients, I would say that we are biased by considering the patients more important. I think that all of us, we are biased by that. And if I had to give an advice, I would probably say that you should seriously consider putting the staff above the patients in terms of priority, because that's much more logical. And if you have a happy staff, you'll have happy patients. And if you sacrifice the happiness of staff for patients, sometimes with unreasonable requests, and sometimes with not very polite attitudes, I think if you sacrifice the happiness of the staff and respect for the staff, I think that you will eventually enter into a loop which is difficult to get out of. I think that focusing on the staff is the foundation for a good team, and so that the patients are happy. And also you have to understand that it's like that thing that we usually say, that while you are treating a patient, sometimes they have bad posture, bad positions, because they are positioned wrongly in the dental chair. they have to stretch their neck and this. And we are always taught that you should first look at your posture because you are there like 8 hours, and you should sacrifice the posture of the patient because they are there for like 1 hour, 2 hours, or not that much. So I think it's the same thing. I think that you should focus on the team first of all, and then if the team is good, then the patients will be well treated. I don't think it is possible to place to have a happy team. I don't know if it's happy is the best term. And I don't know if it is possible to have a productive and drama-free team if they feel that the patient's opinion is always on top of their opinion, irrespectively if they are right or wrong. So I think that if I had to choose one, I think that the biggest mistake is to place the patient's priority above the well-being of the team. Of course, with all due considerations, we are not here, of course, sacrificing the patients. Just that in terms of priority, I think you should prioritize the staff, the team, so that the patient can be well taken care of. Yeah.
I think, because of course, dentists, and usually if we take in consideration that the dental practices are owned by dentists, they are the leaders of the team, but nothing, of course, gets done in the practice unless you have a team which includes assistants, front office. It might be, or it might be the assistants that do the job also of the front office, dental hygienists if you have one, other colleagues, dental. I think the dental laboratory is also a part of the team, even if it's at least a technician with who you speak more. But it's good to have a good relation with the dental laboratory. It's very important, and I think that and nowadays, of course, this is much more. We talk much more about this, but until not so long ago, you didn't took this in consideration that you need to have a good team in order for your practice to strive. I mean, we knew this, but we didn't actually did something about this.
I think there was an evolution, and there have been many changes there have been a lot of social changes, I would even say, in the last 10 years, 5 years,
but
5 years.
What I wanted to ask you, and what I want you to bring to the table is, do you think that this evolution is always a positive one? Because nowadays, and with marketing, this team culture can be transformed into like selling treatment to patients. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
but I see that from a different perspective. I see that I always had a very strange relationship with marketing. I don't know if marketing, if everybody did what marketeers say, I don't know if the society will be boring as fuck, honestly, because everybody would do the same. They would do the same techniques. They would do the same things. And I honestly, I think that marketing is important, but I think that marketing has become so similar. I mean, there's these techniques. There's a whole lot of stuff. And what I'm trying to say is that I think it's showing that you have a team or showing that you have a good team. It's very easy to fake through marketing. It's so easy. It's never been easier as it is today to fake that you have that you have a good environment in your practice or in any business. For example, I see a lot of team building posts that people go and do this team building. But I think that more important than the team building is actually the respect of everyday interaction, right? It makes no sense if you do a lot of team building and then on the everyday interaction, you call some staff the attention, or you point something not in a very polite way in front of a patient. I mean, I think that are basic stuff. So team building and social media, in my opinion, will never fix internal issues per se. I think you have to work on the daily one-to-one interaction, on going back to the basics, which is actually making sure or being intentional about providing a positive energy in the workplace. That's what I think. I think that with marketing and social media, it's never been easier to fake what you do not have. I mean, you can fake a very cohesive, very good team through social media, while actually don't have that, and it's never. And I think that that is very counterproductive. And I would like to talk to you. I don't think I've sent you this, Manuela, but this is very nice. This is I read a lot of books on social and human behavior, and one of the books that I've read, I think it was last year, which was "Don't Trust Your Gut." I don't remember the author now, and there are many things that today with big data, because with social media and apps, there's so much data that we have that like we never had this before. So we can better understand human behavior from a very objective way, right? And dating apps, they are an amazing source of human and social behavior. And that book, basically, and it's very interesting, that book was trying to answer several questions. For example, what are the factors that predict your success, your professional success? And now we know very clearly which is the place and the environment and the friends that you deal with during your adolescence. I mean, the place where you live is a high predictor factor of your long-term professional success, for example. And there are many factors that we know very well, and they also study dating apps to try to predict, number one, attraction, which is how people feel attracted to each other, and this is a no-brainer. Of course, looks play a major role. I mean, good-looking people get more dates, get more matches. That's obvious. But then they try to see what was the factors that would predict a good long-term relationship. So we're not talking about attraction, we're not talking about first dates, we're talking about long-term predictability of relationships. And it's interesting, it was the only factor throughout the book, the only factor that there was no answer to. So not the looks, not the age, not the way you dress, anything. Basically, you could not find a single factor that would predict long-term success of relationships, except the fact that how you felt before the relationship, which is, if you are in a good place emotionally while you are single, it's a highly good predictor of success if you have a relationship. But why am I talking about this? I'm talking about this because today I saw a very, very interesting post from a guy called Paul Brunson. Basically, he wrote a book about dating, and he was talking, he does a lot of research in Tinder. He's an expert researcher there. And of course, that today we have a lot of data. And he was talking about the different generations, millennials, Generation X, baby boomers. And Generation X basically are the ones that were born between, I just got the numbers here, 1997 and 2012, which is the people that today have something between 13 and 27, 28, which is teenagers and people in their 20s, right? Which is a huge amount of the potential labor workforce, right? So teenagers and people in their 20s up to their 30s, which they are called Generation X.
Generation Z, I think.
Generation Z, I'm sorry. And they broke the pattern of what was the factors that would predict a second date on Tinder,
Yeah.
which is so throughout the whole generations, the predictors for the first date were always looks. And that's obvious, right? Because that's the only thing that you can see on a dating app. If you have a beautiful girl, of course, the chances of match. If you have a good-looking guy, it's the same. And looks were also being kept the predictor of the second date up until the Generation Z. And do you know what is the factor that Generation Z considers the most important to have a second date?
No, tell me.
It's very interesting. The allowance of the other partner to allow them to be themselves. And there was a clear cleavage with what was happening before. So all this talk to tell what? We are about to face some very significant changes in terms of priority for the people that work with us. So people that are coming on board or practicing their 20s and soon to be their 30s, they have a very disruptive point of view. And why do they have that? Because they've been fed up with all the shit, with all the toxic relationship with their parents, with the pandemic, with, there's so many things that they had to deal with. That their superpower, they consider their superpower to be the capacity to be themselves, to dress as they want, to come out as they want, sexually, emotional, whatever. And the possibility of other people allowing them to be themselves is what they consider to be the most important factor in their existence. And I think this is going to change everything in the workplace. I think that money is, of course, important, but allowing other people space to be themselves is something that we seriously need to consider in the future. And this is not easy to do, because we need to fight to find the balance. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. But what's your opinion on this? What's your take on this? It doesn't surprise you, I'm sure.
No, actually, it was interesting. I didn't know about that data, but it only comes to confirm what we've been saying. So that this new generation has completely different values. So what you just said, it's like our generation, the looks that you mentioned, and our generation is it's the status, right? It's the car, it's the house, absolutely. Right? Yeah. And this new generation is the possibility of doing what they like and what they enjoy, and that will allow them to be themselves. But I think that this also comes for us, I think we stand by this, so that you have to allow your team to have space to work in a way that they express themselves. We talk about the way that you can express yourself through dentistry, and this come in the same path as that. So you have to allow your team to be authentic, of course, with guidelines. And again, that's why it's so important for you to define your own values, your practice values, to define the culture of your clinic, to have a good system and protocol, so that when you have someone on board, before the person goes on board, you can put the cards on the table and say, look, this is how we work. This is our values.
Be truthful from the start.
Yeah. And that offers, I think, a framework, that offers a guideline. And then if you have what we call and what we teach in our course, a conscious leadership. If you have a conscious leader, and if the leader, in order to have that consciousness, to work on the skills of communication and of listening to the team, of trying to in order, it's because what we are talking here, and sometimes I think that people listen to us and might think like, oh yeah, now it's like doing everything that they want, and it's not yeah, it's not about that. It's to really listen. And I think that in a recent episode we talked about having private meetings with your team members, your staff team members. This is very important, so that you can really use the strong points of that person, and you can work on the not so strong parts of that person, so that you can coach them to really be to help them to be the professionals that they want, to help them to even to allow themselves to express that authenticity, because sometimes people don't even know that they can express themselves through their work, to bring themselves through their work. And I think that I like to think that what I do with my work, for example, is to help dentists become and work with their authenticity, to show themselves as their authentic selves while they are working. Because in our generation, because we are the same age, I think that we still had that mask of the doctor, I think I already told this in a different episode, and it happens a lot in older dentists, is the feeling that they have this mask, the feeling sometimes that they are playing a part, that like when the patients come, they have to, and then the door closes and they go, and then and this can be at a certain moment very difficult. And so and I think this new generation discovered that. I think they are, I don't think they have still the perfect formula. Maybe it doesn't exist, but they changed, exactly. And what you said, it's so interesting. But they change, and I also think that this is going to be a big change in the workplace. But they already discovered that if they cannot be themselves in life, right, then it's not working. And at the workplace, I strongly believe that that's the same thing. That's one of the conclusions that I reached myself when I started discovering different ways of living my job and living dentistry, because the way I was living it was not working. And that also is what I like to teach, is in basically mindfulness is self-consciousness, and is for you to bring conscious into your work, the way that you work, what you are, what you want to bring to your work, the way that you are living your work. So, and I think that also in our course, that's a lot of what we do, is to teach how you can be more authentic as a leader, and how you can also and how you can also coach your staff to bring that authenticity. And also one of the things that I would like to say, because I think that when we talked about marketing before, I think that sometimes when you bring that culture that is only about marketing and selling treatments, I think that you create a little bit the mentality that it's the practice against the patient. So it's two separate things, it's the practice and the patients. And I also like to think, and it's another thing that I learned through our course, and I had this insight the first time that we gave the course together, is that it's actually when we consider and we share this vision of the most important thing being your team, because if your team is happy, then your patients will feel that and will be happy. But what I understood also is that you can add the patient as a team member. You understand what I'm saying? So instead of having this or the team or the patient, you can even consider the patient as a team member. And because when you listen to your patient, when your patient participates in the decision of the treatment planning, yes. You know, when the patient is considered in the systems and protocols of the practice, then the patient becomes also it is considered to be a team member. So in order not to have this us against you mentality, you know, or the team or the patient, I think it's good if we can bring the patient into the equation and the patient also to be considered a team member. But yeah, I think it's very interesting what you said about authenticity, and I think it's all about that. That's the secret.
I think that there's a common goal here, and I'm always battling with this in terms of whenever I talk whenever I teach, whether it's clinical dentistry or whenever we brainstorm or in the course, I think that's something that needs to be central. And I think I think we are finally coming to terms with that, and we will learn that with the newer generation, which is truthfulness. Truthfulness is the most important style to adopt, because truthfulness gives you a huge responsibility, because you have to be vulnerable. You have to be able to say what you can do and what you cannot do, and what is your role inside the team. What are the things that you are good at, and what are the things that you are not good at? And the reason why I point this so much to being truthful is because once you adopt a truthful mentality, and let's be honest, it is difficult. If you don't do it intentionally, it's not going to happen overnight. And I think this is really important to be truthful, because if someone inside your team feels that your post on social media is showing something for the outside that isn't the accurate representation of the emotional status of the team or of what really happens in the team, I think you lose them. And I think you lose them big time. And I think you not only lose them, but you lose their ability to treat the patients with truthfulness as well. Because I see a lot, and I am a big critic of this. I see a lot of fake marketing in dentistry. Actually, I think that whenever people tell me that I should post, because social media has a central interest here. Let's be honest here. Since social media has changed everything, and the way that you do marketing today is through social media. And if we both conclude that the newer generations want to bring some truthfulness to the table, so how can you be truthful to your team? How can you be an example of authenticity if you do your dentistry as what marketeers say that you do? So go there in the middle of autumn, drink a coffee, ask someone to photograph you, show your Rolex. I mean, what is this? What's truthful about this, honestly? Because I like to see myself as an open-minded guy. And some people say, oh, that's a good post because he's doing marketing. No, he's not. What marketing is that? What marketing is to go with a bunch of photographs or to the beach to be photographed in a given pose with like a motivational quote talking about winter, how much you love your patients? What the fuck is that? I would be ashamed of
especially if then you pay minimum wage to your employees and.
It's not only that first of all, that is completely fake. That is not true. Everybody knows this is fake. Everybody knows this is full of bullshit. Okay, number two, does it attract patients? It might attract. I'm not saying it doesn't attract. And by the way, I don't think you should listen to me. I think you should listen to marketeers. That's what you should do. So don't listen to me. I'm just expressing my opinion, because If they say it's true, they studied for that, right? But I think to myself, I would be ashamed of doing that. I would be ashamed of being part of that, especially in a profession where we are healthcare providers and there's no guarantee of anything. Anything can go wrong and will go wrong eventually when you treat humans, when you are in healthcare, because it's highly volatile. The health of a patient is highly volatile. Your technique is gonna go wrong sometimes. So but my point here is this: when you market yourself as a fake persona, how can people that work with you look at you with respect, especially from the eyes of this newer generation? How can that happen? I don't understand that. And I never understood. And and this is something that really triggers me, because I don't see any improvements on the way that people do the marketing. For me, marketing in dentistry should be about the information and also about some vulnerability. I mean, there's a lot of things that can go wrong. There's a lot of things that patients need to do. They should be part of the team. But I don't think that marketing is about doing the rock star. Yes, you may attract a lot of patients. I understand that. And I understand. I know you need to maybe to create a persona or whatever. I understand that. But I think that especially when you have this sort of data, I mean, it's very clear what young people want. It's clear as water. They want people to be authentic. Even we were talking with Isabel, the girl, my assistant that does the videos. Did you notice what she told us? Did you notice that now the audience wants less edited stuff, more authentic stuff, less flashy stuff? So where is our attention? Where are we focused on? Why do we keep insisting or pretending to be superheroes, to be rock stars, to be amazing dentists, to be superstar dentists? Who believed? First of all, no one believed in that. We were living this fake illusion, this complete stupidity in dentistry, right? That's the way I see it, because I see that there's no. I'm not saying I'm not part of that. I'm part of that as well, but I think it's completely. It's like everybody knows it's fake, but people like it, so let's do it. But now I think that I understand that the lady that was 50 and 60 that worked with you, oh, that's so nice, and she likes that on Facebook. But the person that at 20, now they look at you, what a moron, what an idiot. He doesn't treat me right. It's completely fake what he's telling, what she's telling. The fuck is that? I think it's time for us to, and I know that shifts don't happen over time, but the starting of a transformation is always awareness. I think that we need to be aware that authenticity is the most important thing in everything, because we are all in the business of selling trust. And you trust someone when they are truthful to you. You don't trust someone when they pretend to be something they are not. And patients also trust you when you are able to show them the truth. And that's the way I feel. Of course that you may attract patients that want to do full mouth makeovers because they want to be influencers or whatever that is. I understand that. But that's not sustainable in the long term. In the long term, you will have to deal with patients for decades. You will have to take care of the patient's best interest. The patient's best interest. And I think there is a huge mismatch between the patient's best interest and the way that we market. And here in this particular episode, because you are sending an internal message that you are not truthful. And if you are dealing with people that believe in truthfulness, I think that you are heading towards a lot of problems. And then we'll talk a little bit more about how you should transform that. I think it's something also important to talk about.
But that's the reason why we think and we defend that the staff is more important than the patients in the dental practice. Because if you really have a good team, a team that works good, that they are satisfied, that will reflect to the outside, and the patient will feel that. If you have a team that is united, working for the best interest of the patient, and being the patient also considered as a team member, then that will reflect to the patient, and patient will feel that in a very natural way. And that's why we say that the team is more important than the patients. This is not, and we might talk just briefly about that. This is not about satisfying every request of your team members. It has nothing to do with that, but it has to do with giving them the chance to speak. It's giving them the opportunity for you also to really listen to what they are saying, and maybe try to adapt some things, try to even implement some things that they suggest, so that they are also open to your ideas when you have them, to discuss ideas, to bring them to the table with ideas or decisions, and then you can really not only to have a team, but to really to grow something more adapted to you and to those persons, because we don't have, and that's why I already said you have to have a framework. Of course, you have to have guidelines. That's very important. But if you have those guidelines, and if you work with the person, then you can really create something unique. You don't have to have a template, right?
Isn't that fun? Isn't that
that's it. That's the fun. That's the fun part. That's the fun.
Money is important. Actually, of course, it's important. But isn't it amazing if you can have fun and feel thrilled in the place that you are working, and bring up some new ideas? Especially even today with social media, has this amazing capacity of self-expression, of who the team is, and not trying to express of what some marketeer tells you to show to your patients. And I think that we as leaders or the clinic owners, I think we have the obligation of that, or at least to try to stop and think about things in a different way, right? And I think I know it's different it's difficult to change, because I look at myself. I've been a dentist for 20. I finished in 2022. It's 22 years now, and I have about 20 years of experience in having a practice, which is not huge, but it's relevant. And I look at myself and I see the transitions that happen in 20 years. I see all the mistakes, all the ego-driven mistakes, all the insecurities that I have that made me have mistakes, all the things that I had to learn the hard way. And I think that there is a change. I think there is clearly a change. And even my older staff tells me that the way that I lead now is different. A part of that, of course, it comes from more security, more confidence, more self-confidence, because, I mean, if you do mistakes, you will eventually learn, and you'll have more success. And of course, success brings more confidence. It's like a loophole. We talk a lot about that in the course. I mean, you do mistakes, you learn from the mistakes, and you'll eventually have success. And of course, it comes from that. But also it comes from the fact, I think, maybe I'm wrong, of course, but I think that I was aware of this thing that we talked about, the newer generations, they value truthfulness. I think that I was aware of what's going on maybe for about 10 years now. The way that I treat my staff today is different than the way that I treated them even 5 years ago. Because people are very sensitive today to some very critical attitude. Like you were saying, and because we talk so much about developing the team, I think that again people may believe that we are just free love and people, they can do whatever they want. It's not that. And if someone has worked with me, they know exactly that. They know that I can be a pain in the ass. But I think that the pain in the ass that I am is more fair now, that the pain in the ass, it's more controlled than it was like 10 years ago. I think that you need to have, I won't say authority, you need to have legitimacy, which is very different. So one thing is leading by authority, the other thing is leading by example or based on the truth. I mean, if you discuss with our team, there's this new procedure that needs to be done, everybody agrees, and you give like an adaptation time and things still do not move on, you have the legitimate to say, look, hey, this is not, we cannot do this. This needs to stop, and you have to stop doing this. Otherwise, it's not like a threat, because they need to understand that if this keeps going, there will be negative effects for the whole team. So this needs to stop. And like you were saying, if you have systems, and if you have meetings, and if you have regular meetings, and if you have systems, this will bring you legitimacy. If you know exactly who you want to be, and again, who you want to be is not only what you as a leader wants to be, is the mix of what you want to be and the team that you have and the feedback that you have. And it's complex and it takes time, just like any relationship, just like any team, it takes time. There's a lot of things that don't go linear. But I think that you need to understand that you will be dealing with people with a completely emotional background that they had like 20 years ago. 10 years ago, it was normal for you to be cynic with a dental nurse in front of the patient and say something like, for example, let's say she drops something, right? And you say, as usual, you are dropping things. Stuff like that. Sometimes it's just like a small comment. But it's vicious, it's such a vicious comment to do this sort of cynicism, to be critical to a staff member in front of a patient. And I'm not saying that I have never done that. I think that I minimize that. I think I've been very harsh internally sometimes, but to a patient, I don't think I've ever placed my person in such a situation. Or if I did, I don't remember doing that. But it's easy to do so, especially if you are completely overwhelmed with work by the end of the day. But today you have to realize that you need to have much more self-awareness and much more self-control with that. Because this newer generation, if you cross that line, if you cross the cynicism line, if you cross the fairness line, if they feel that fairness is not being applied, and if they feel that you do not keep what you said that you will do, you will lose. And that is something that I am 100% sure. If you don't make truthfulness the core of the values of the practice, which means not trying to be anyone that you are not trying to be more than you are not, and admitting your mistakes, and learning from that, and leading as an example, and doing what you ask them to do as well, if you are not truthful. If you are not fair with them, if they feel that there's like a sense of injustice to them, then if you don't keep your word, if you say that you will do something and you won't, then you're screwed. And when I mean say, ideally you should always write things. I mean, we talk a lot about this. Written communication is really key. But if you don't keep your word, if you're not truthful, if you don't bring a sense of fairness, you bet me that you will lose this generation. They may be with you, but they are not with you. They may be with you, but they don't trust you, no matter the stupid fake poses and the Rolex and the cars that you place on Facebook and on Instagram.
How do you think, because from my experience, when I sometimes have this conversation with older generations, I get the feedback that the cynical answer, they don't want work. There's new generations, they don't. In my time, I used to work in Saturdays and Sundays and every day from 9 to 9. And nowadays, the new generation, they don't want to work. So I get the cynical answer, because what we are talking about requires work. So you have to really work on the awareness that you were talking about, and that's the other part that we teach on the course. So the conscience part. So you have to be conscious, you have to be aware, you have to be mindful, you have to be intentional. Even for the listening, dentists think they are so good listeners, but they actually are just listening to give a reply. So they are listening to replying. They are not really listening to the other person, even to their patients. They are not, because actually for you to have an active listening, it requires a lot of training. You have to first be able to listen to yourself, because you have to be able to listen to your reactions when you are hearing what the other person is saying. So, and that's also is part of an awareness training. But I think that it's much easier for you to go to the cynical answer and to say that these new generations are lazy or work.
It's the easiest, because it's so much easier. And I'm not saying that I have not done that in the past. I am absolutely a part of this. I've been a part of this. Maybe I'm less now, but I am a part of this. There is nothing easier than judgment. For make jokes in the work, there is nothing easier than that. It takes a lot of reflection and self-awareness and to stop and being calm and to look at yourself, to actually provide to bring something to the discussion or to talk in a productive way. And it's difficult. It's very difficult, because if your practice is not organized, if you're seeing a lot of patients, it's very difficult. We all know. So
we go back to the beginning. In order for you to be able to prioritize your team and to be able to create and build a good team, for that to reflect on the patients, you have to also be able to do the work with your team. So you have to have time for that, and you have also to develop certain skills that you need, because and we talked a lot about this. One of the reasons why dental practices are so stressful and why sometimes most of our days, and if you are not aware, mainly your days might become just you running around in autopilot, just almost putting out fires, right? It's because there's a lot of things happening. So it's technically demanding. You are dealing with performing technically demanding procedures in
patient is awake, is feeling everything.
In awake patients in a limited time frame. So time frame. So sometimes you do, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 more of these procedures a day. So it takes a lot of energy from yourself. Plus, you have a team to run. Even if you are not a clinic owner, you have to deal with the assistant. You have to deal with all the clinic environment. So this is the perfect recipe for things to get out of control, for you to have absolutely no control, and for you to neglect that part of your team function, and for you to just focus on the superficial, so all things look to the outside, right? Even if how things look are not really how they are inside, because we know that dental practices are sometimes they have very toxic environments. I mean, because you put a person that is in a lot of stress, that is working from 9 to 9, 6 days a week, that is the practice owner, and sometimes that people don't know how to do things. It has to be this aggressive leadership, and it's things can get really out of control. And we know this. I mean, we had already participants in our course, for example, that the reason was that they cannot keep their staff. The staff was always going. They could not retain any of their on any of their staff. And sometimes when we talk to colleagues, their main stress is the staff. So it's exactly the opposite of what we are saying here. So that your team
that you should yes, it's very interesting what you're saying, because we are telling them that the thing that stresses you the most is what you should treat the best, right?
It's the same thing as the patients. When dentists tell me that their main stress factor is the patients, I that's my answer. It's very interesting what you're saying. The things that stress you the most should be the ones that it's the ones that you are supposed to serve. Something is wrong there, don't you think? That's a huge red flag. And this is exactly the same thing.
Yeah. And I think that it's worth to spend a couple of minutes before we finish talking about that, because I think that some people may be thinking, okay, so I have some issues with my staff. They clearly sometimes get grumpy, or they get in a bad mood, or they want to go, they don't want to stay late hours. And I think that instead of being reactive, I think you should go to the root of the problem. First of all, did they have an onboarding process? I mean, did you told them, or best, was it written the way that things would happen in the practice? Yes or no? If no, then you are the responsible for the situation, not the person. Number two, did you have constant feedback from them? Did you met with them once in a month? Did you listen to them? Number three, did you have regular meetings to point out the situation, say, look, I think this is happening. Can we improve this? How can we better improve this? Because I think that if something goes wrong, if there is some grumpiness, I don't think that you should explode at that time. You should just take note of that in the next meeting or privately with the person. If the person was informed previously of that was a behavior that they should be doing, right? Which is very important, which is something that we tend to forget, because we tend to think, oh, that's common sense. It's not common sense. Nothing is
common sense.
This is the huge mistake that people do. Oh, I think in my time I will do this. In my time, well, fuck your time, because things are completely different now, and you have to live in today. You're not living in the past any longer, right? So yes, maybe in your time people were more polite. Maybe it was different. But you just have to accept the world as it is. Now you can play with that, because otherwise you'll not find any nurses. You'll not find any dentists to work with. This is the reality. So you need to create an environment where when people try to fit, they understand what they know what they can expect. They know what is, if they have to work late hours, you need to inform them before. They may accept or they may not accept, how much they will be paid for that, for how long are the late hours. I personally believe, and we have a full episode of that working extra hours is a no-no, and you should avoid it at all costs, because today, these people, I mean, they value predictable working hours. So, first of all, do you have written systems? Do you have the culture? Do they know exactly what they should be doing and how should they behave? And when I mean exactly, I mean really exactly. And some people believe this to be micromanagement. This is not micromanagement. I mean, it is micromanagement, but everybody agrees that you should not, be answering your phone of your girlfriend or your boyfriend while you are, for example, doing the suction, for example, right? I mean, there's some basic rules of conduct that need to be written. The person needs to be informed of that. This is the key. Number two, do you give them feedback? Number three, do you listen to them on the meetings? Do they let them influence the practice themselves? Do they feel that their contributions improve the practice? Okay? And also, do you not treat them bad? I mean, are you cynic with people? Are you truthful to them? Do you do what you say that you will do? Right? Of course, it's not about every little single task, but if you say that you're going to pay the max, are you paying the max? If you say they will get a raise, will they get a raise? If you promise them, look, I'm promising I will take a look at this and we will try to fix the late working hours. And we will discuss this, I promise you, that we'll try to do the best possible, we'll look at the numbers and we'll see what we can do. Do you promise them these things and do you follow through with what you promise, right? Is the center of your life the way that you look on social media? Or is the center of your life being truthful to the people that work around you, that surround you? What is the center of your life? Is it what you look? Or do you use social media to make the team stronger, to make the people that work with you valued, to bring them up, right? So I think that you should really think about all of these things, because sometimes people that work around you and your staff, if they are grumpy or if they do things that you don't like, it's probably because you are not really paying attention, or you just did a lot of mistakes in the onboarding process, or you just expect them to have common sense, and there's no more common sense these days. Yes, it is true. It is true in one sense that some generations have been spoiled. It's also true, of course, because I mean, if you look at our parent generation and myself, I was spoiled in my generation. I also need to understand that, and that the generations that come after me, they will be even more spoiled in a sense, right? So I think that you need to understand and dance with this reality. You cannot reject this reality, because this is the world that we live in. There are some good things, there are some bad things, but one of the things that is very good about these newer generations is that truthfulness is in the core of their existence, and they expect that in the workplace. If you are trying to be something that you are not, they will smell it immediately. Everybody smells it, let's be honest, but we just pretend that we don't smell it, right? You know exactly how fake someone is, especially if you know them. But these kids, they are much more sensitive to that, and you really need to set an example of truthfulness. That's what I believe. And I think you should take that opportunity to grow as a person and put aside the need that we all have to look something that we wish to be and not exactly what we are. I mean, we all do that in a way, but I think this is a good opportunity to be much more bonded to the team that is around you and focus much more on what is truthful and not that much on what you wish that your practice would show to the outside.
I think it's very interesting what you said about the onboarding. I think we should do an episode on that, because this is not a practice that dental clinics have when they admit staff.
Think that, it's here.
Yeah.
Sorry, I think I thought that I lost you.
Yeah, I was talking about the onboarding. What you said is very interesting. Yeah. We should do an episode on that, because it's not something that you see that it's done in many dental practices. And because, again, there's no manual, there's no system. And when you don't have those written things, it's basically the onboarding is, okay, this here, it's the waiting room, that's the cabinet, this is the sterilization room. So that basically is showing the house around, right?
And then survive here. Survive.
Yeah. And maybe the older nurse teaches something. Maybe the first days you will be with the main dentist working on the clinic, but the onboarding is not something that it's well done. So I think it's a subject that it's really worth exploring. The same way as, if you want to call it, I don't know if this is the name, but the outboarding. So when someone leaves the practice,
that's very nice as well. Yeah,
that's also a very interesting subject, because it's something that it can be that you can learn with, and that you can take insights from when someone leaves your team. And I think that's also, it's a very interesting subject to explore. Okay, we are with 1 hour.
Nice. I don't know if they have any questions. There's a couple of people. There are some people joining us in YouTube. Do they have any questions?
I don't have any questions here. Let me see. I've been checking it usually, and I was also here on.
Our audience is very well informed. They have no questions.
Yeah.
Because they're also not listening to us.
They are also not used to this kind of, but we have to do it more often. I think that if we create an habit, then we have more interaction. But before we go, let me just say that I mean, when we started to work together, and when we put together our conscience leadership course, my work was very focused on the professional itself, so on the dentist itself, so on creating the self-awareness, the consciousness in a very individual way, and like I said,
very important.
Yeah, which is very important, of course. But then when we started to work together, it was very important for me, because I started to like integrate all the importance
complexity.
That in the complexity, of course, that it needs, but mainly the importance of the team, and the impact that you growing these skills, the impact that can have on your team.
Yeah, as an example.
Yeah, as an example, and has a vehicle for the new way of working is possible. You understand? Because sometimes
at the workplace, yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, because sometimes I speak with some colleagues that they say, but I don't think it's possible to change. I don't think it's possible to change. So the work that we do on the conscience leadership course, it has that impact. It has the impact of you being able to change the way that your practice works, and for you to be able to really build and grow a team that you really can work together and it's not only productive, but in a fun way, because I think that this authenticity
that's the word.
Yeah,
that's the word. That really is the word. I think life is to be funny. Life is to be exciting, and life is to be, of course, with the ups and downs. But you should feel creative. You should feel funny. You should feel energized with the people around you. It doesn't mean that you do not have problems, but I think that is the best. That is the best word, because fun also includes financial freedom to do whatever, to pay for your staff and to keep them happy, right? So it's just not. I don't think that dentistry and dental teams should be about surviving, just to make money, just for the sake of it. I think that needs to be something more, right? And it's very difficult, very hard to say this when you make a lousy living in dentistry, when there's a lot of problems. And I understand that. I suffer a lot, especially when I teach to kids stuff that I know that it's difficult for them to make it happen in Portugal, for example. I understand that. But having said that, I think you should have the faith that things can always improve. You can always bring even if you're not a leader, you can always bring something to the team. And like Manuela, what you were saying, I think you need to see yourself as a positive influence, as you need to dance with your team. You need to give and receive and give and receive and give and receive. Because at the end of the day, and I think that we are finally getting more and more aware of that. So what's the point of having money? What's the point of having a Porsche? What's the point of having a house? What's the point of having family with money to provide them with what you want, which is already very good? But what's the point of all that if that happens at the cost of people that are not very happy and don't really like you in the practice, right? I'm not saying that people should like you. I feel not every staff member likes me every day, and some of them maybe they don't. I don't know, but I don't think that anyone hates me, for example.
Or at the cost of going home and always being mad and
worried with that. Worried with that. Yeah, worried with that. So and one of the things that I really think, and this is a cliche, but it's a cliche because it's true. We spend a lot, when we talk about financial distress and stuff, there's so much money spent on trying to buy things, impress people that we really don't like and respect. If you really think about it, well, oh yeah, but I have to make money for this and for this and for that. And so, I mean, do you really have to make money for that? I understand that you have to make money to raise a family and to reach your goals, but do you have to make money to spend like in the 100,000 euros car? Does that make you really an interesting person? Is that something that people will look at you as this is a guy that's worth going to dinner with? I mean, just think about this. I think that there's still a lot of priority in the financial achievements. And I love money. Don't get me wrong. I think that money, when well deserved, I think it's good. But I think that if you really look at your life and your dentist and your team, there's so much that you can do. There's so much that you can help them in not only paying them more, but I mean, giving them better conditions. If you just place aside your stupid will of buying a Porsche or stuff like that, I'm not saying that you should not buy a Porsche if you love the Porsche, but think about this. What are you actually doing? Are you doing that because you really want the Porsche, or are you doing that because you want to impress someone? Because if you talk to any millionaire, the millionaire will tell you this. I mean, any person that has been extremely well succeeded, anyone will tell you the same thing. Is after a certain amount, a car will only make you happy for a couple of days. But if you use that car to go on the street and to prove something to anyone, I don't think that this is the best use of money that you can make out of dentistry. That's what I think. I think that if you focus more on your team, if you focus more on yourself, I think you'll have, in my opinion, and this is just my experience and the way I see other people, because I there's a lot of, maybe it's going to be a little bit not polite, or I'm going to say there's a lot of uninteresting people in dentistry. There is a lot of that. And I think that's basically because the lack of focus on what really is important in dentistry and in any kind of business that there's a lot of private work where you can make a lot of money, right? There's a lot of uninteresting people out there. Do you want to be a part of those? Is that what you really want to be? Or do you think it makes much more sense to have a sense of fulfillment in your team and value your team and grow yourself as a leader and grow yourself as a person, not better than them, but with them? And I think there's just much more, there's a way better, there are much better ways of using your time and your money in pro of your team and not only focus on the financial returns. That's what I think.
And before we go, just to leave the invitation, if you want to explore all of this, if you want to know how how you can lead your dental team with more authenticity. What skills you want if you want to develop the skills. Join us in our conscious leadership course.
Yes.
Again, this is not only for practice owners. It's for dentists. You don't have to be a practice owner. We say that all dentists are leaders. If you are not, even if you are not a practice owner, if you become a conscious dentist, you can bring a lot of change in and ideas, and you can have an impact in the work environment of a dental practice if you work on these skills. And we will give you the protocols. George Andre also talks a lot about the financial part, because we know that it's
Yes,
a big,
exactly.
big part for you to be able to work on this other part that we were talking about, for you to be able to develop your team. Of course, you need not to be worried about money. So your practice needs to make money.
Absolutely.
And needs to be in a positive saldo of money. So that's
Of
an
course.
important thing
Balance.
also.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we work also on the emotional awareness, on the awareness, on the self-awareness, which is mindfulness. We give you all of this. So join us in Sagres for 3 days in a beautiful place in the south of Portugal. It's in Sagres. We chose. There's a lot of people asking why Sagres? Why do you go to there?
It's an amazing place.
And because also we want to discuss all of these subjects, and we want to teach you all of these subjects a little, and take you a little bit away from the dental practice environment. So we want to change the environment a little bit. We're going to give you all this information, which is new, which is something that you don't hear about, and that you don't learn this in any other dentistry course. And we want to do it in a different environment. So it was a choice of ours not to bring this into the typical place of a dentistry course. And you will feel, and that we feel that impact on the participants. We feel the impact of those 3 days in that place, hearing about all these subjects, so that it has a different impact. So join us. Our next edition, it's in March. We still have spots available. Just go to softbites.online. You have all the information there. You can inscribe yourself there. If you have any questions, any doubts, just send us an email or a message through our social media. We have a new Softbites Instagram account. You can follow the Softbites Instagram account.
They're very social now.
Yes. So that we can put little videos of our conversations that we have here. And if you have any I'm missing the word, Andre. If you want any suggestions, that's the word. Any suggestions for us to talk on the podcast? Any questions for us to answer? Just send an email or a message, and we would love to hear from you guys. So thank you, Andre. This is a nice one, and thank you for everyone that
once again.
Thank you for being with us. We had, let me see, I'm going here. We had 32 persons joining us today.
Nice.
Yeah, and Anna left us a message. Anna here, love you guys. I think it's Anna Fuja. She did already the course with us. I think
she's a good fan.
Yeah. Thank you, Anna, and thank you for the ones that were here, and of course for the ones that are listening to this later in the podcast. Thank you for joining us, and we see you on the next episode of Soft Bites. Thank you for listening to the Soft Bites podcast. We would love to hear your thoughts on this episode. Please leave a comment or connect with us on social media. Your comments and messages will help us to know you and our profession a little bit better, so that we can offer real value in return. And if you like it, please subscribe. If you want to learn how to be a leader and drive change in dentistry, take a look at our Conscience Leadership course at softbites.online.